Great, thanks. Buy a bike, they said, see the world.
These are survivors from New Zealand's toughest mountain bike race, the Karapoti Classic.
I'd like to say this was a dumb event when I first did it, and the other 3 times it still is, and I'll be back next year.
The Karapoti is a classic in more than name.
The only race that I know of which is just a one long loop circuit. It's got everything in it from river crossings through to steep hill climbs to rocky descents.
When you're trying to push it uphill with mud all on the tires, you're saying, oh, I wish I had a pound or two off the bike. Bloody hard.
And I can't think of a race in the United States or Canada that I've done that compares to it.
This is just like, overshines anything, basically, that I've ever done.
You go out there and you're out there for 3 to 4 hours, depending on your ability, but there's no shortcut home if you have enough.
The race is 50 kilometres of gut-busting biking through native bush and rugged terrain. Starting at the Akataroa River, the first major climb is 500 vertical metres to Deadwood, followed by a barely rideable downhill section that leads to the Devil's Staircase bike carry section. Then it's an eye-watering 10-kilometre descent to Doper's Creek. The last major climb is to Doper's Hill, and then it's all downhill to the start-finish line 12 kilometres away. The elite men and women's field includes the best of local riders plus a strong international contingent. Favourite to 5th-rank American and uphill specialist Dave Wiens. English pro Paul Hinton is ranked 6th in the UK and won the Karapoti in 1990. John Hume is national champ and the winner of the last 2 classics. Carterton's Mary Grigson was second home last year in the elite women's division. Kiwi skiing international Kate Rattray, who was second in 1991. Californian Susan DiMattei, 4th ranked in the world and riding the Karapoti for the first time. 456 athletes face the starter's gun. For the best, 2.5 hours of tough biking lay ahead of them. For some of the others, the ordeal will be over 5 hours. The start is staggered with the elite men first across the line. In wet conditions, they head into the Karapoti Gorge. Ahead of them, mud, razorback ridges, steep climbs, and rocky descents. Pre-race favourites Hume, Hinton and Wiens lead the bunch as they approach the first hill climb. Minutes after the men start, the elite women get underway. With a world ranking of 4th, Californian Susan DiMattei is the pre-race favourite. A strong hill climber, the Karapoti with its 3 big hill climbs seems tailor-made for her particular strength. At the 10K mark, the leading men riders are about to hit the wall, literally. The first of the big climbs, 500 vertical metres, parts of it with a gradient of 1 and 3 to the summit at Deadwood. From Colorado, Dave Wiens knows something about mountains. A renowned uphill rider, he's needing to call on all his experience to handle the vagaries of the Karapoti.
I look down at the ground. I don't want to look up. I glance up every now and then, but the more I look at where I have to go, the more discouraged I get. So I basically look down at the ground, try to just pick my line, and then before I know it, I'm on top, and everything's great.
Heading for the top, Wiens is surprisingly back in 4th place. At the summit of Deadwood, Kiwi John Hume, looking for his 3rd win in as many years, leads Englishman Paul Hinton. A minute behind, Hastings rider Craig Lawn guides Wiens over the top into the descent towards the rock garden.
You just have to try to go as fast as you can within reason and try not to crash. And it was even more difficult today because our glasses were just coated the whole day, so it made it even harder to see. And if you didn't have glasses on, then you're getting mud in your eye, so whether you wore them or not, your vision wasn't that good.
Fellow American Dimitte's race is about to begin in earnest. Hill climbing is her strength, and on the warm-up hill, she's opened up a lead of a minute over the best of the Kiwis, Kate Rattray. A further 45 seconds back is Mary Grigson, the leader in the current National Series and second place getter in last year's Classic. At Deadwood, the 31-year-old Dimitri has increased her lead over Rattray to 1.5 minutes. Former New Zealand ski champ Rattray is stronger on the downhills and is happily positioned to challenge the American on the big descent to come.
It's a lot of fun. I do it because I enjoy it. When I'm going up the hills, I think I don't know why I'm doing it. When I'm going down the hills, I think this is why I'm doing it. The downhills are great. There's lots of different ones. There's long, fast ones, and there's steep, rocky ones, and then there's clay, slippery ones where you really don't know what's going to happen. When I see something that's really tricky in front of me, I let go of the brakes. You can't try and slow down over something that's tricky, so you've just got to ride it out and slow down afterwards.
And no chance for Hume to slow down in the men's race as Hinton is hot on his tail. As he enters the slippery surface of the rock garden, he holds a slender 15-second lead over a frustrated Hinton.
Mentally, it is quite frustrating. Trying to catch up and your legs are hurting, and you've got the adrenaline there as well, and you're still not catching up to them. And then they get out of sight. When they get out of sight, you tend to slow down a bit. So I try to keep that up, keep the pace up.
Wiens is maintaining contact a further minute behind as he shadows Craig Lawn down and through the Devil's Bath. In the women's race, Dimitri holds her advantage over Rattray as they move into the downhill to Devil's Staircase. It's now a two-person race as a tiring Grigson has faded to be 4 minutes off the pace. Rattray, the downhill expert, plays her race card, riding through the rock garden in a desperate bid to catch the American.
One of the young riders behind me, this junior boy, said, the other rider's not too far back. And finally, I looked back for a second, and there she was, and so I went through the whole scenario in my head. Okay, well, Kate will probably pass me on this downhill, and I'll see if I can stay with her till the end. And
at the bottom of Devil's Staircase, I could just see Susan because I'd gone hoofing down the rock garden. And I sort of thought, well, maybe she's exhausted, and maybe I'll catch her up.
Into the climb, Rattray had pulled back a minute on Dimitri, but was still 30 seconds behind. The first two winners of the Karapoti in 1986 rode the course with backpacks and bike carriers. The equipment may have changed, but the spirit of those days remained. For most, the Classic offers not the opportunity of winning, but the pleasure of competing, with their reward being the satisfaction of finishing. For the expert and the novice, the joy of the descent is tempered by the climb that follows.
Where is she?
Let's go, guys.
Oh, sorry.
Problems for Wiens at the business end of the race. Mechanical troubles have relegated him to 5th position. On the long downhill to Dopers Creek, it's a matter of taking your brain out and going for it at speeds of up to 90 kilometres an hour. In his sights, Auckland rider Aaron Dalton. Dopers Creek, the seesaw battle for the lead has Hinton ahead of Hume, but the distance is a mere 3 seconds. The big mover is Lower Hutt rider Dave Abbott, who has ridden into 3rd place. 5 minutes behind Hinton, Dalton and Wiens cross the river and head into the last hill climb over Dopers Hill. Wiens catches Dalton, but his hopes of victory had vanished. Better prospects for teammate Dimate in the women's race, who with 12 kilometres to the finish has stretched her lead over Rattray on the last hill climb to 4 minutes. Back in the hills, the main bunch are engrossed in their own personal battles of survival. 2 hours and 33 minutes after crossing the Akatakawa River, John Hume crosses the finish line 20 seconds clear of Englishman Paul Hinton to win the Marin Karapoti Classic for the 3rd time in a row. Two minutes later, Susan Dimate wins the Karapoti Classic at her first attempt.
That was a nice ride.
Her time 3 hours and 8 minutes, 4.5 minutes clear of a courageous Kiwi, Kate Rattray.
I heard a lot of horror stories about it, good and bad stories actually, but it was a lot of fun and it was a lot of hard work, but I can now say that I've done the Karapoti Classic.
You've got every aspect of mountain biking. You've got the hills, you've got the riverbed crossings, you've got the rocky descents, you've got the clay hill climbs, walking sections. I don't know what it is, it's just a totally different course than other courses I've ridden, and I love it.